ready to have starting tomorrow and the next day. We don't have Sheets this morning, but I'm going to keep going. Got some nice golf things. Scott Piercy, as Sheets talked about, was a guy I ended up rolling with at 30%, and he struggled. He was 3 over, and then he bounced back to 1 over for the end of the first day, and now he's birdied the first 5 holes today. So saving some of my lineups. Here we go. All right, here we go. I just got a message from Sheets. Sheets won't have his projections today, but we will have Goldies, which is the industry aggregate, and the SaberSim. As it comes to baseball, they're all fairly similar. I thought the best thing to do would be to go through the slate game by game together. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up the window here to SaberSim, and we are going to talk through game by game here. Excuse me about that. Let me just silence that. Okay. And let's get off to the races 1 second here. Sorry for a little bit of the slow start. All right. Pittsburgh, Washington. I'm going to bounce back and forth between the starting lineups page just so I can from RG. I usually use MLB.com and RG. The weather today is definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye out for in a couple games. And this is one of them. So as of right now, this game is just a stay away for me. I mean, it's an extremely good pitching conditions if the game does play. But even still, there's just other options. I do think I would have a little bit of interest in Rich Hill, but I just feel, I mean, it's Washington. There's just no way in Washington that I feel like they end up playing this, but it's early in the day, so who knows? So Rich Hill will be a very small person on the list right now, and that's really all I have because it's 20 degrees. You can see the weather. It just looks horrible. So basically, I'm going to probably just stay away, and we can revisit that one when I go live later at 6. As far as the Seattle, excuse me, Seattle and Toronto go, I'm going to be into Manoah tonight, and I just think that he's still overall a very good pitcher. I don't buy that this price is anywhere near accurate or anything. So I am into Manoah. It is a little. It's going to be tough for me to get to Castillo, and I don't even mind Toronto as a little bit of a. Maybe not a stack, but certainly I wouldn't mind any pieces from their lineup. I like taking hitters in this stadium in general, and so Toronto I'll put on my list. If more, it's probably going to be a mini stack if anything for me because Castillo's really good, but it is former team. It is just a really really tough place to pitch and a bunch of good hitters, but still a monster slate. We probably can find other things to do a little bit better. Let's talk about Boston and Cleveland. I'm just going to double check and make sure we don't have the weather issues here. I think we're good there, even though in New York it looks bad. Just terrible hitting conditions. And I will be all over Shane Bieber tonight. Maybe he has just started to really struggle. At some point, he's going to find it again. And 9,300, I really, really like him. I even think Pivetta deserves to be on the list with how bad Cleveland's been offensively. And I just showed, look at the early weather conditions. If you really have, 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing in and 52 degrees, it would be nice if they're blowing in from the left for the pitcher. But I think that we can take shots here. I do think mostly, though, it's going to be the Bieber thing for me. I really like that play quite a bit. Let's move over to Atlanta and New York. Another one that I have serious questions about. Let's just see what it looks like early. Should this game play? I think I'm probably off of most of it. I think that you could make an argument for Fried. I think the ownership is looking a little too high. I also think you can make a little bit of an argument normally for Atlanta, but again, you have winds blowing in and it's 53 degrees. So I'm open to whatever. It's a great pitcher's park, obviously, but I just think that right now, it's going to be Max Fried or basically nothing for me there. And I do think Fried is a pretty solid play, but it's not. I don't know. This slate has a lot of guys with upside, so I think I'm probably going to be a little bit lower on it. Tampa Bay, Chicago, going to double check in Chicago where the winds are headed out. 54 degrees only, unfortunately. Because look, with what we've seen from Giolito so far, I think that you have the normal Giolito rules, right? We play him a little bit at low ownership, and it's pretty low today. Because he has upside. He also can get smacked around, and we have to consider Tampa Bay as a possible stack. No interest in Eflin and no real interest in the White Sox either. But I certainly could see getting to Tampa Bay against Giolito as a possible option, just because look, we've seen his blow up games come, fairly often, And the thing he does is he gets into trouble with his control. He gives up home runs. So if you get one of those multi-home run games off of him and then you've got a bullpen behind him that's beaten up a little bit, I think you can take a shot here with Tampa Bay. I don't think I have any problem with that whatsoever. All right, moving over to Texas and the Yankees, and we get the DeGrom versus the Yankees matchup. I like Texas and I like DeGrom. I don't know if I'm going to make Texas like a priority stack for myself, but I do think that they're interesting. And I think DeGrom is, obviously the top pitcher on the slate, but I actually have been a little bit, I'm always been on that he's a little bit overrated because it's easier to pitch and have great numbers when you're only, pitching once every month. But he's amazing. And it's the Yankees who've been striking out. Judge should be out of the lineup today, so you lose that option. It feels like DeGrom goes in as a priority, and I think this total is a little bit low for the Rangers, and we know the Rangers have some pop and can get to anybody. So I like the Rangers as a stack so far. Probably the favorite one that I've gone through. It's a little tough to stack against the Yankees on full slates because their bullpen's so strong, but I still think I'm willing to do it. All right, Tyler Anderson and Wade Miley. Oddly, Tyler Anderson's price feels too low to me. And I actually think this is a reasonable play. You could make an argument for both offenses as well, but I kind of think Tyler Anderson is in play here. And I'm just gonna take a quick look at look. You see that obviously you're in the dome. I got to double check later to see if that roof's going to be open. You have some cheap options you can use, like Brousseau, at the top of the lineup, assuming that he'll be there at 2.3K. But I personally am probably going to be lower on these offenses than most. I'll put the LA and Milwaukee down on my list for now, but they are definitely not a priority for me. I don't like picking on Miley as much as other people like to, and I don't like picking on Tyler Anderson. And we're going to have how many days in a row have we had just massive chalk on the Angels? And you just see the ownership always is off a little bit with the in the early in the day with Shohei because they sort of project him as a pitcher. It always takes a minute to correct. But you're getting them pretty low owned. I do think these guys are in play. I just don't think it's like my priority. And I do think Tyler Anderson will right himself and be a very solid pitcher. At 6,500 is certainly a reasonable price. All right, moving on to Philadelphia and Houston. Two good pitchers here. And it's the matter of, do you want to take them against tough teams to go against? Valdez and Nola, I both have as in play, but not priorities as of right now. And because they're good enough, early look, I'm not gonna get to the hitting here. All right. Well, we have all the hitting that everybody's gonna try to go for in this game. Kelly and Freeland. Freeland has been a little better probably than even the numbers would show, and certainly better than the perception is. You're not getting that much ownership on this game, and I've got to double check why that is. 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing in, that's okay, and it's 54 degrees. Okay, maybe not as desirable as usual, but I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that the Rockies are going to be fairly low owned, and they are. So I like both sides as I like pieces of both sides. I think that Arizona is more of a mini, and Colorado I would go for more of a full stack. My reasoning is that just the ownership, just getting the slightly lower ownership, actually pretty significantly lower. And because Freeland hasn't really been giving up the long balls as much, and I just think he's a little bit better. So I always try to go against perception. Still, the prices on these Diamondbacks are a little too cheap in most cases. Christian Walker especially. I know he struggled at times, but Gurriel, those guys stand out specifically as price plays. But I do think Colorado and Arizona, obviously interesting plays, but just keep in mind that wind blowing in and 54 degrees, it's not like we're getting the ideal Coors game to try to attack. All right, let's jump over to Oakland and Cincinnati. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, let me just grab my thing. Oh, so Mueller and Sessa. This is a really good matchup for the hitters, except for you're playing in Oakland. It'd be really nice if this game was in Cincinnati. I think we could prioritize it. I'm going to go on a limb and still prioritize this game as of right now. I want to make sure I know who's pitching for Oakland. You can see there's conflicting things, but I think this Oakland-Cincinnati game is definitely in play. I mentioned earlier with Oakland, they don't always even need to score. They have some power in their lineup, but you see what this Ruiz kid does. I mean, look at this. Oh, they don't even have it. Look at this 5 stolen bases the last 2 games. They'll run. They've got like cheap pieces all over the field. It's against Sessa and a bad bullpen. I think we can get back on Cincy. I'm sorry, on the A's again. And I hate taking Cincy in general outside of Cincinnati, but it is a good matchup depending on which pitcher pitches. Muller and I don't know who's gonna be. If it's a full bullpen game, I'll just fade it. But I do think it's kind of an interesting spot. All right, the Dodgers have been struggling offensively. They come back home here, and I, for one, am going to have some interest in this game. I think that you actually have a really, really good stack with the Dodgers here that you could go after at low ownership. You see Betts is getting some, and Muncy should be back from the paternity leave. By the way, 8 Dodgers or ex-Dodgers from last year, all on paternity leave at the same time. What the hell was going on at the All-Star break, guys? What was going on? Wildness. Anyway, I like the Dodgers stack here. I'm not getting to either pitcher. I do want to make a note that there's going to be some times where we're going to have May in these weird prices and the matchup looks tough or whatever. I actually think May is totally fine today, and I actually will probably end up using him. I think that like not much, but I think he makes enough sense. And against a righty heavy lineup, he's a good pitcher. The leash isn't crazy long. It's a big slate, so maybe it's not the right one. But I do have Dustin May as a guy who I'm definitely considering today. Anyway, real quick highlights. I like the Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Cincinnati, Oakland, and then the Dodgers as my stacks right now. I'm going to probably narrow those down and fine-tune them a little bit. Favorite pitchers, Manoah, Bieber, and DeGrom. Going to get to some other guys as well, but just those are the 3 that I have as the priorities for now. I will update my early builds and my core plays. Probably going to be a little later this afternoon, but hopefully you guys will check those out if you're in the premium. And yeah, I would really encourage everyone to please like the video, and also to make sure you should take a look at the premium. The premium offering is pretty awesome. And just even the fact that we all have direct access to me, Sheets, and Rhodey all together, and Goldie, and we can all get our stuff in there. So I just think it's something really cool that people should check out. Anyway, it should be a fun day. We'll talk a little basketball when we do live at 6 Eastern. And good luck to everybody today. Let's make some money.